Hey y'all, hey, back with another review. So we're here to review SnowPiercer season 2 episode no, sorry, season 4, my bad, episode 2.
Two.
What did you think about the first episode?
First episode was a good opening, I would say. It wasn't what I was expecting. There's a lot of things, like we discussed before, that were questionable, but overall, it was a good episode.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was a good opening episode. So let's just get into it. So last episode, as we saw them walking into the train. So we kind of go back for a little bit. So where we are now is 9 months ago from where we see people in New Eden. So obviously, we saw when the missile had went off in the distance at the end of last season, and you know how they were gonna pull over to go and look at it. We saw last episode how Ben and Till had went out to go look at everything, and then they got caught by the Call of Duty whiteout people. So we start off this episode. Now they're brought into the train, and the first person that they see is Audrey, and the top man is like, "We need you to bring us to Melanie." Now Melanie, in the control room, for the most part, she had a signal on Ben and Till, but then she lost it. So she was freaking out a little bit because she's like, I can't get in contact with them. She was trying to radio out. Nobody was saying anything. Eventually, the other person that was in the engine room with her was like, oh, okay, like their signal was back on, and she could see that they were on board. So she was like, oh, okay, cool, no problem. Now she's not wiser of the none. She don't know that they didn't came up in here with a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of guns. So while they're making their way to the back of the train, Ben kind of starts with one of the Call of Duty people so that Till could try to like run and try to get the phone and call up to the engine. But she was shot. Were you surprised that she was shot? Because I was.
Uh,
I said, did he just kill her?
I wanted to take his word for it when he said he was going to shoot someone, otherwise that threat would be pointless. I didn't think he was going to actually shoot her, though. I thought he was like going to graze her or something. But to actually see the bullet hole, I said, stand on business, as you would say.
Pretty much, did it on business. So, at that point, Audrey was pretty close, and so she runs and she tries to pretty much help Till, but Till is like, no, you need to let Melanie know that these people is coming to take over the daggone train. So Audrey runs around. She ends up finding, I think it was like one of the he was the new quote unquote Reese of SnowPiercer. He kind of makes all of the announcements and stuff. So she finds him in the room or whatever. She finds the distress button and she hits the distress button. That obviously signals Mel. Mel looks at the camera and she sees, that the people are coming up. So she goes to pretty much kind of, lock herself in from the inside. So when the peacekeepers get to the door, they're like, Melanie, you need to open up the door right now. Open up the door. She's like, I'm not going to do that. And they said, if you don't open the door, we're going to kill Ben. We've already shot somebody. Now, they did not say who they shot, but that clearly bothered her. And Ben was like, I don't care. Don't open the door. Do not open the daggone door. But she ends up opening the door. If you was Melanie, would you have opened the door or you would have let Ben die? Because how important is Ben really to the mission? Like, I'm pretty sure he is. But how critical is he?
Before I answer that, Melanie, since the beginning of the show, the dawn of SnowPiercer, has been straight for the train. No matter what's going on, it's for the train. So going into this, I assumed her decision making was going to be for the train. I highly doubt these men would have had even enough ammunition to kill everyone on board. So even if they were to say, well, we'll kill one person until you open the doors, I highly doubt they would have done that. So would I have done that? No. But again, I'm also going based on the assumptions that we're the only humans left on the planet. And obviously, clearly we are not, because y'all have guns and y'all boarded us and we're the only train on the tracks.
Yeah, pretty much. I gotta go back and look at the other seasons because I gotta see why it's been important. I mean, I know he does stuff on the train, but I think he is critical. He is. So
he
maybe
is, and he isn't. Everything that he knows,
Melanie knows, but she needs help though because she is only one person. I understand. It's kind of like how Javi is to Alex. Like technically, Alex could probably really do it all on her own, but she needs Javi to kind of have like as a backup person.
Remember, that's why Layton's, I don't call him his adopted son because I think his child's the only child that got taken. Mm-hmm. But the guy, remember, that was in the back of the train with him and Jody was taken care of. And
yeah, Josie.
Josie was taken care of. I think his name was Miles.
Yeah. The little boy, the little black boy.
They were training him, and he's still on Melanie's train.
Yeah, where the hell is Miles? That's actually a good question.
So technically,
where the hell is he?
But I'm saying that to answer your question in the sense of no, she really don't need him because she has Miles.
Okay, right. So Miles is the person that was with her. That's the person that was with Melanie in the engine. Okay, thank you. That's all connected. Now it all makes sense, right? Okay. So obviously Melanie lets them in, and then we kind of cut and we see her and Ben kind of being held in this room. Now they can see out of the window a little bit, and she said that she can tell that they switched to a new track. The Peacekeeper said that they had switched to a new track. Now Melanie says to Ben, these people are moving fast because that track was not there 3 months ago. So I guess whenever they went by last time, it wasn't there. So she said, I think they could kind of tell that they were heading east, and then they kind of started like doing like a process of elimination of where they could be going, and they pretty much landed on they're probably going to an international military hub. And Melanie's like, we cannot let them dock. Like we cannot let them dock. So her and Ben, they pretty much take out the guard that's standing at the front door, and now there's some gas that starts to come from the canister that's on his hip. I want to know what that is. Is that what we end up talking about later about, what they trying to shoot up in the air, or is that something else? I want to understand what that was.
I mean, the way I look at that is, obviously, I don't know either, and I want to find out too. I just looked at it as it's an alternate form of what Josie had done to her to make her be able to sustain out there.
That makes sense.
But instead of having all the research they had on the train that the doctor was using, they only had limited stuff to whoever they had, so they made their version of that. Because without that, clearly, as we've seen, the guy died.
And not only that, but if you really think about it, their suits that they had on versus the suits that Till and them had on, their suits don't look as like insulated. Do you get what I'm saying?
Or it could be more insulated.
Maybe.
But one of the two. I get what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying? So it could be something like you said for like to kind of help, them have a better chance of being out and about.
But you see, they never take it off.
They don't.
So either clearly
other than a mask.
I haven't even seen them take that off. The head guy doesn't have the tubes and stuff hooked up to him. He was the only one out of all of them that did not have any of the tubes hooked up to him. The rest of them didn't take their mask off or anything.
I wouldn't understand what's happening there yet. So, Till ends up seeing Miles, like we just said. Now that call clicks together for me. He sees Miles looking for Audrey. And so Audrey ends up getting caught, And when Audrey gets caught, they bring her in, and they pretty much are asking about Melanie. So Audrey is like, why do you guys want Melanie so badly? And they said, because we want her mind. They pretty much I would assume during like a situation like this, you're going to want to get the smartest people in the whole wide world to come together to try to fix this shit. So yeah, that 100%. Makes all the sense in the world that they're going to be after her for her mind. She's too smart. Look at everything that she fucking put together. You think we didn't hear about this shit? We know good and daggone well that she is a really, really smart lady. So we want her. So Mel, eventually she gets like to a spot in the train, and she's able to stop the train pretty much fully. So that it stops altogether. So now the top peacekeeper guy, so he's upset. So what he does is he pretty much, there's like a whole bunch of people that's already like in this cart. It looked like, to me, the cart looked like a mart kind of cart, like where people could buy or get like goods and stuff like that. That's what it looked like to me from the outside. But there was a lot of people in there already. So the rest of the peacekeepers push everybody into there. But before they leave out, they shoot a hole into the roof. So pretty much letting the cold air from outside
air come inside.
So he pretty much says, the peacekeeper says over the announcement, he tells the person that was the new Ruth to say over the announcements that, hey, Melanie, if you do not surrender yourself, we're not going to let these people out, and they're going to die in 20 minutes, which is crazy. Because how cold is it out there? It's cold.
Below freezing.
It is cold, so shit start getting cold immediately.
Water will freeze quicker than you can blink.
Immediately. So Mel is like, okay, I gotta figure something out of, pretty much how to get to the engine room without them finding out. So yet again, what is up with Melanie wanting to go outside of the train and crawl and do all of these Mission Impossible ass stunts to try to get back into the train? Like, I know a lot of times she ain't really got no choice for her to get to one end to the other, but she the only person I know that keep doing it.
She does volunteer for it a lot, and that was something that crossed my mind when I first seen that. I'm like, why? There wasn't no other way you could have did it. Someone else.
Yeah.
But I get it. If you know the train better than anyone, better than try to walk them through it and hopefully they get it right, do it yourself and get it right.
I understand. But she's playing reindeer games. So then we have Till, because Till was stuck in the cart that everybody got closed into. So she pretty much is working with somebody to patch up the hole. When she got shot, she went to go see somebody, and they patched her up, and they had like doused it in alcohol. So she was able to take that alcohol pad off of her, which I would have never knew that because I don't know shit about science. So I wouldn't have knew that the alcohol what freezes faster, better. I forgot what she said.
I don't want to really touch that logic because as far as I've always heard growing up, but this is only from my peers and they're not reliable sources, alcohol didn't freeze. That's why we would put it in the freezer.
He did say it in the episode of like why that will work better, but for whatever reason, yeah. So that ended up working better, but still, even with that hole being like clogged up, that helps them a little bit, but like
it doesn't fix the problem at hand. You can't clog it.
Right.
It's something that needs to be fixed.
Exactly. And the vents themselves, I think, was like not working or something like that too, because when Melanie got inside, she was able to kind of, I think, like redirect the air or something like that from the vents, and she pretty much got to the engine and was able to kind of let everybody out. So then that's when we see the doctor, not Dr. Head, but the other daggone doctor. So he comes on to the engine, and pretty much what he says is that now Melanie recognizes him. They recognize each other. They know each other. They're both very, well-known scientists. So she's like, what exactly is going on? So he said when everything was pretty much starting to go to hell, that him and his team, along with 80 other scientists, were pretty much scooped up out of nowhere to pretty much fix the government's mistake, but as they would call it, saving humanity, as he put in quotes. And he said ever since he's been picked up, he has not been outside yet. This is his first time that he's even seen daylight since any of this has happened. So Melanie like really doesn't believe it, but he tries to tell her like, no, I was literally ambushed. Didn't expect any of this, but we're here now. He also talks about, it seems like they disagree on like the head peacekeeper guy, because it seems like the doctor is real defensive of him, because when she brought it up, he was like, no, he's not really like that. So I wrote all of this down because I wanted to make sure I got this right. So why do you want the train? Okay, this is what was said. His team found CW7, which they call a coolant agent, to denature in the upper atmosphere and fall from the sky. They said they only did a few missile tests, but they have weather patterns across half the equator, and that has caused them to create 6 warm spots. Now, the problem is that for this to really work, the atmosphere has to feed off of each other. But because half of the planet is still frozen, it's kind of, he explained it like it's a web. It needs to be a web, but the webs are not connecting. So they need SnowPiercer to take the coolant agent and go to the opposite side of Earth and release the agent.
Which is pretty much from what this sounds like. It sounds like that's what the missiles were for. So what I think about that is it makes sense. I mean, for the web to be spread across the world and, mushroom effect, or, well, I guess you would call it mushroom effect, it's on the spread. And if it's in just one half of the planet, well, cold air, it's eventually going to take back over. So you would need it to be like that. So yeah, the science is sciencing.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if the science that sounded like that made sense to me, but what the hell do I know? So she pretty much was like, well, we don't even know if that's going to work. We don't even know if the 6 spots work now. And he was like, no, they're like New Eden, is really a thing. So he shows her pretty much like aerial footage of like the one little satellite. They don't have many. They said that worked, but they're able to see New Eden. And, she starts to cry and tear up a little bit. So then we see Ben and Mel, and they pretty much have a discussion about everything, about whether or not Melanie should kind of go with these people because it's pretty much being offered to her like, come with us so that we can like stay with us so that we can try to figure this shit out. Like we can really try to get all of this shit together. Like what if that doesn't work? What if it does? We just have to be ready for all things. While the train pretty much like keeps going and tries to, let off the coolant agent. So she feels bad specifically because if they are able to if they do end up getting to New Eden, she'd be able to see her daughter. So that's the biggest thing for her. She won't be able to see her daughter, if they go through with this plan. They end up having a long conversation, and eventually, she says that she does want to, stay. And so she stays. Do you think her daughter gonna be pissed?
I think Alex is just going through some shit. So is she gonna be pissed? Yes. About what? God only knows. God only knows.
Yeah, that girl got some things going on in her life. So we see Melanie leaving. So we end up seeing Till. She's working with Ben and Audrey because they're pretty much like, look, we need somebody to go to New Eden. Because my bad, let me back up for a second. The plan wasn't that they go to New Eden. The plan was, I don't know, they was gonna like dock them somewhere and do some other shit with them. But they're like, we want to get to New Eden now that we know it's a thing because Melanie told Ben what she saw. So it's like, okay, we have to get one of us to New Eden without anybody else, the new people knowing. So Till was like, okay, don't worry, it's going to be me. So Audrey and Till, they're in the little pod or whatever right before, Till is about to get in and leave and stuff. And Ben is, looking over top, making sure that he drops the train in the right spot. And of course, I'm like, that's how Audrey got here because y'all are sitting here talking for 10 hours. Like, why do shows do that? Y'all just making it obvious what's going to happen. So they talked for like 10 minutes and then one of the peacekeepers came and saw them and then they all started fighting and Till ends up getting the person out of the pod. Audrey hits the door closed and she hops in and she goes. Now, maybe this is just me, but it felt like Audrey wanted to go. Because she didn't even attempt to try to help Till. She just automatically closed the door and hopped in. Now, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt to say maybe because she just knew there would be no other chance. But I also feel like there was some selfishness to that. Because she did not attempt to help her.
Well, I also feel like it's also because she's not the fighter out of the two. And, like, obviously, Tail's not going to win against this big man unless she uses a weapon of some sort. And regardless, win or lose, somebody has to go. And I feel like in that regard, she just kind of put the mission first and said, well, someone has to go and just jumped in. But if she would have helped, the mission would have been over.
I understand. Yeah, I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but Audrey's also crazy as hell.
She is.
So then from there, we kind of like go back to the present, and this is pretty much Audrey telling the story to
Layton
and them. So Layton gets up and he's like, well, why would they want Liana? And Melanie just gave up the train to the soldiers. And so he's walking out all mad. And Josie's like, what are you going to do? He's like, I'm going to go find them. Okay, this is my whole thing though, Layton. If what we saw is what Audrey told you, I don't understand how you could take any of that. How could you take that she just gave away the train from anything that she just said?
You really can't, honestly. I mean,
like, he's starting to get on my nerves because, like, I understand that you're upset about your kid, but even before that, you was being weird. Like, calm down and start thinking logically so that you can get your kid back. But you just on go because there was no reason for him to say Melanie just gave up the train. What anywhere in that story did that say that she just gave up the train?
Nowhere. I mean, again, like you said, he's just going based off of his own grief. And obviously, let's be realistic. If our baby got taken, are you thinking about anything other than how the fuck we're getting her back? and who's gonna pay for it when you do it. Oh,
That's
damn,
fair.
it does suck that, the train was lost. It does sound like, Melanie didn't fight the way he wanted to fight. So that's more so what I feel like that's coming from. Now, is it coming off that way? No, I would argue in that point, acting wasn't so spot on there.
Okay. Well, that was pretty much the episode. I gave it a 7 out of 10. The most interesting part to me was the scientific aspect of what they're trying to do. But, yeah, what do you give it out of 10?
Out of 10, I'm probably going to have to agree. It'd be a high 7, though. I'll give it a high 7.
Alrighty, we'll be back for episode 3 soon.